You say
That's all.
imagine a life with zero worries, and no world, you're relaxed and
Well,
free. Where all your dreams become reality, and all you need is within your reach. Be more, the page financials. No stress when it's time to repay. Pay Financials have zero worries when it's time to pay your bills, rent, school fees, and vacation. We'll be here making it easy for you. Visit our website www.pagefinancials.com or call 01700 Page Financials, taking you further.
It's Ofu or Bekba. It's the breakfast show on Smooth 98.1. The best combination of radio and coffee.
The Smooth Breakfast presents the headlines, the
are we live on
stories,
Instagram?
the news,
Are we live on Instagram? Are we
in-depth
live on
analysis
Instagram?
of national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
Studio is live. Max up. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being part of this show. Today, Freshly Pressed 981 is brought to you by Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It is the 15th of June 2021. Welcome back to work. My name is Valentine Ohu, and I'm joined by Wade Ahime and Ojiuka. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning, Valentine. Good morning, Oji.
You guys were
Good
wondering
morning, Lagos.
who will answer
We're
first.
wondering who will answer
It's
first.
fine. Good morning, everyone. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good.
Looking good, eh? You're
Thank you.
back to work
Yes,
officially.
I don't think today is Monday.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
It's a short week.
I was here yesterday, so thank you. Thanks for that shade. I take it. Thank you so much. Oji Uka is at Oji Uka on social media. Interact with him. And Wade Ahime is at wade.ahime. Yes?
Why did I hear me on the score?
I'm getting used to it. I'll get used to it today. All right. So stay with us through this broadcast. And of course, you can send in your messages through WhatsApp 0809 That's our WhatsApp number for messages 0809 I'm on Instagram live at Valentine Ohu. And we're streaming live on YouTube. Just type in the search box Smith FM Lagos and subscribe. Our first story, I'll start with you. Sorry, Oji. Pardon me. The Punch newspaper has this headline: "Will respond appropriately to Fulani attack on Delta. Pandef Mend threatening." In a counter threat, which was captured in a letter that he wrote in reaction to that threat by unknown persons that was posted in different strategic locations around Asaba and Abo, threatening an attack on those locations, especially because the governor of Delta State, Okowa, lent his support to the southern governor's ban on open grazing. What are your thoughts regarding the events that led up to this and this particular response?
In truth, this is not the type of story you want to start. I want to start a week with, or start your day with. It's really unfortunate, but that is what we have. And I guess we have no option but to analyze whatever stories we have. As you already rightly pointed out, some unknown persons visited at strategic points in Asaba, Delta State. A letter from some anonymous jihadist group threatening they're going to attack some areas in Delta State. And the reason include the fact that the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, had been really at the forefront of the move by the governors from the southern part of the country to ban open grazing. Incidentally, before now, we know that ban on open grazing had been issued by some governors in their individual capacities. Even some governors from the northern part of the country had also, in some manner, banned open grazing. But it came to national limelight when all the governors, or majority of the governors from the southern part of the country came together at Asaba Delta State, obviously hosted by the governor of Delta State, and they then took the decision. So part of their resolutions, as contained in their communique, was the outright ban on open grazing. Since then, how has the government reacted. So the southern governors have dug in, they've insisted that's what they're going to do. Particularly, of course, the most vocal of them has been governor, the head of that forum, which is the governor of Ondo State, Mr. Akeredolu, senior advocate of Nigeria. The president himself, that's the president of Nigeria, obviously is not in support, nor is the Attorney General of the Federation. So they've issued statements here and there. But where we are right now is that a group claiming to be a Fulani jihadist group has now threatened that in response to the actions of the governor of the Delta State, they will teach him a lesson by attacking him. And in meant, we all know who they are. The movement for the emancipation of Niger Delta, they've now issued a counter threat saying that if that one comes to fulfillment, they are going to that no Fulani will ever exist across Niger Delta, and all oil facilities in the Niger Delta owned by or linked to a Fulani person will be brought down. If one soul is lost, then Fulanis will pay for it. And these rhetorics are not good for
at all
unity in this country, one bit. In ending, on a good note, he said the command spokesman, I believe this is the police command, said that undercover police operatives have been deployed across the state to try and see if they can gather intelligence on the matter. I hope they are serious about it. Another good note is that the leadership of Fulani in the state have distanced themselves from the purported threats.
That's a good step.
It is a good step. I've not seen it in other places. I believe what happened in Ebonyi State some weeks or months ago, according to the governor of the state, just before the threat was carried out, the Fulani who were living around there, some disappeared somewhat. But a move like this is a good one because it shows that, look,
we're not part
together,
of this.
we're not part of this.
Yes.
So they've said that, particularly someone was mentioned, the leaders of the group, the Fulani coordinator in Delta State, Hussein Haruna, okay, no, there's Alhaji Abubakar Haruna, Hussein Haruna, Sarki of Asaba, and then chairman of Unity Allah in the state, Musa Mohammed. They say they're not part of the church. For me, this is the best thing I've read this morning.
Thank you so much for that, Koji, for that after analysis. Mecca Mikeja said, I believe the letter was meant to instigate mayhem. The killer headsmen usually do not give notice of an attack. MI from Akoka, thank you so much for joining us this morning. He said, when silence from the top becomes too loud on critical issues, non-state actors will inevitably fill in the gap because self-preservation is one of man's strongest instincts. You don't allow states arm themselves. Now you want to take over the state's power over land as enshrined by the Constitution? Give me a better definition of chaos. I will wait. Thank you, MI. Ian Kabulu says, please, gather intelligence. Okay, now here we go. When it's not protest, because that's the only thing they can handle. Simply. Thank you, Inka, for your message. Let's go to the next story. Remember the WhatsApp number for messages 0809-444-0981. Wadi, despite public outcry, Nigeria to borrow more for railways expansion. Now, this story comes in 2 or 3 different parts. Now, first of all, one of the things I would like to commend the Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, is how clear he is on details, right? He's always front and center and making sure that everybody gets the right information. There's detail about progress reports that are always updated. And it gives you some level of confidence to know and understand the amount of work that's going into railways and the revenues that are being short. He touched on these issues and also mentioned or suggested consequence for railway material theft. Please go into the story with us.
Okay, so first things first, like I always say, borrowing to funding, because at the end of the day, that infrastructure will repay the loans that you borrow towards funding them.
If done right.
If done right. But the magnitude of Nigeria's debt currently, which stood at it's $7.239 billion as of March 2021, is what is worrisome. Listening to what Rotimi Amechi said, there are a number of projects that they are looking at. The Lagos Maiduguri, the Kanu Kaduna, Lagos Kanu, and a number of them. And he touched on the fact that they were looking at, I think, about 14.2 billion additional borrowings from the Chinese. We've seen the extent of work that has been done with the rail lines, which is commendable. It started with the last government, but to a large extent, like he said, I commend Rotimi Amechi because each time he comes to speak about the railway system, he gives you details of what has been done, and we've seen a number of them have started working and generating revenue. The Lagos Ibadan route too has also started, and it says within the next 3 to 4 months they would start full operations because they need to test the number of things. It's just the magnitude.
But I'm sure I read somewhere that has started already. I think sometime this week.
Which one?
The Lagos.
No, it's been operational.
Yes, it's been operational.
It's been operational for the last 2 months.
Yes.
Yeah, so I said within the next 3 to 4 months they would increase. They would even increase to 4 trips.
Yes.
And by the end of September, beginning of the fourth quarter, it would start to run fully, which would be about 16 trips in a day, which is commendable, and you would generate money, and so that's important. I think at the end of the day, they might just need to borrow to form the rail lines and ensure that the execution is done properly. But one last thing I want to touch on here, which is the ports. And he said something about that when the president came in, the whole of Apapa port was clear, and it doesn't. And that for me tells me that if you put the right systems in place, it will work. I guess a number of people who walk around that area need to sit together and decide what they really want to do and increase the investments in that area.
That's right.
Which for me is one critical part that would grow the economy of Nigeria in the short and in the long run.
Thank you so much, Buhari. I'll touch on some of the things that he refuted. One of the claims is that the Chinese loan agreement may lead to mortgaging Nigeria. He said no, that's not true. He also clarified that he was not behind the recent suspension of the managing director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, because that was a rumor as well. Ms. Hadiza Bala Usman said she was only asked to step aside to enable the investigation into the management of the authority between 2016 till date. Also made clarifications on the loan that was inherited from the President Goodluck Jonathan administration, $500 million, said they've paid $150 million out of that. And then reacting to, which is a statement I like that you alluded to in the last part of the analysis on the problem of Apapa ports. He said, and I quote, "I was in the train with the president on that day and noticed that everything had disappeared. Even inside the port that looked like a marketplace was very well organized. No person was found loitering about, no trucks. What it shows is that the problem of the seaport is the problem of efficiency." And he said the seaport is a security area, and it's not for everybody. Even me, after my tenure as minister, I'm not entitled to go into the seaport unless I have business there. What does that even say? But so many people actually loitering around the port that have no business there. And that's number 4 as well. The fourth story that we're actually taking. So I'll
just one last thing. Just one last thing, so that you would jump in.
Yes.
One thing for me is with the infrastructure in rail continually developing, it would also create the opportunities for us to move goods from the port, and you would discongest the port. So I do hope, based on what he said, everybody will come together and put the right investment in the port area, so that Oji can take off from there.
Just to jump in there, because of time, you've hit the nail right at the right spot. Amechi is a very transparent and honest person. Love him or hate him, he has that going for him. So you've already read out what the data emphasized on, which is, he said it clearly, it is a problem of inefficiency. And when he says inefficiency, he's not talking about me or you.
He's talking about everybody.
The government.
His colleagues.
Yeah.
He's talking to everybody.
As he said he was there, and we see this, not like some politicians will see things as human beings, as ordinary Nigerians, and somebody in power will see something completely different.
Yes.
We know that the moment the president comes to visit Papa, that those trucks will disappear, and they did disappear. And you ask yourself, where did they go to? So these are the things you expect from ordinary Nigerians.
He mentioned it clearly when he even said, "I was there."
You see, he was there the previous night. He was there on Wednesday.
He said, "I was there the night before. It was like a marketplace." And then the next day, I was in the train with the president. Everybody disappeared. There was nothing there.
And he says, if this can happen in one night, it means the problem is management, nothing else. Do we need to wait for the president to come before we can be efficient? I like him again.
You remember that? It's good to have something to laugh about this morning. Remember the time where they were talking about call-up system, call-up system? It seemed like a Herculean task. Like you are going to bring down a
If they can do it in one night, they can do it
every day.
They can
do it every day.
I'm happy that it's coming from him, but we hope that we have result, because the vice president, if you remember, went to the airport. It looks like 10 years ago, but it was under this administration. Went to the airport, made an impromptu visit, and then
Oh,
all the time we were talking.
flew with the chopper as well. Yeah.
No, just about the airport.
About
Not,
the
not the
airport.
one he went
Oh.
to the port. Yeah, he went to the airport and then visited, went to the toilet and said all of those things. When he was acting president, we expected that all those ease of doing business moves with. At the end of it, everything has collapsed. We hope that's not also the case with these sports.
Thank you for that.
I mean, just transparency and it's refreshing honesty is good to start with.
Well, you might want to use some cautious optimism there because Yinka says, Amici, honest.
Oh, he is actually.
Ask him if he's aware of the trucks leaving Apapa. The first truck that parks anyhow should be shot. No, don't say that.
No.
It's a sarcastic.
Oh.
Well, we love it. Let's take a break. A short break. We'll be back to continue the conversation. Fresh in Press 981.
Imagine a life with zero worries. Imagine a world where you're relaxed and free. Where all your dreams
I actually give him that.
Zero worries
He
when
speaks
you
his mind, says it as it is.
He doesn't.
That's one thing I
and,
give him
and,
from when he was with us.
and that's the good thing about him, and that's why with his ministry, despite all the
Thank you for staying with us. You're listening to Smooth's Breakfast, the show. The segment is called Freshly Pressed 981. We'll bring you the detailed analysis of our newspaper stories. I have Oji Uka and Wale Aime in the studio with me analyzing all these stories. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me again. WhatsApp number 0809-444-0981. I have this message from Feisayo in Igondo. He said, while the death of Shekau had rendered Boko Haram a headless chicken, the threat posed by ISWAP still remains a huge concern. Thank you, Faye, for that. Inka says it's called the VP helicopter fly-by-day. We're celebrating yearly every November. Che says, headlines are scary. There's an iota of good message there. In. Thank you. Please check out our status on WhatsApp. Add us on your contact list, all right? 0809-444-0981. And Dan, Barrister Dan Okuda, thank you for sending a message from Igondo. He said, why is this rail infrastructure not extending to the southeast? It's a work in progress. Orisha says the port and Apapa was cleared because the president was visiting. The very next day, it took me 2 hours to get to my destination, just 2 kilometers away as I work in Apapa. It is total inefficiency from the operators and port management. They know what to do, but the greed of benefiting from the inefficiency won't allow them. Let's get to our third story. Now, Premium Times has this headline, fact check, Buhari his claim on lifting 10.5 million Nigerians out of poverty misleading. It's a report presented by Premium Times. I was expecting this on Saturday after that speech. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a very, very detailed report by Premium Times, and I commend them for taking time to get all the data that they required to at least counter some of the things that the president said. But the first thing I want to say here is, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when we spoke about unemployment increasing over the last 6 years, and the Bureau of Statistics, and they also mentioned that unemployment figures have jumped to about 33-35%. So it's a bit there's this disconnect when you say 10.5 people have been lifted out of poverty in the last 2 years. And Premium Times also made it, according to the report, I think they made an allusion to the speech he made in 2019, talking about that too. Similar claims in 2019. The data to back it up, and this one too still doesn't have the data to back it up. But the worrying part for me is, based on all the data and all the analysis, the rate of poverty is expected to jump to about 45.2% in 2022, and that is really, really scary, and that's because of COVID. But it's a real detailed analysis, and I think people should go and read it and find out exactly what they're talking about.
Thank you so much. Breaking down the data is actually important. Put things in the right context. Buhari's claim on lifting 10.5 million Nigerians out of poverty misleading. That's a headline you should check out from Premium Times. Our next story, Oji, Buhari's visit, sudden disappearance of trucks. We've already touched on that. But let's talk about repentant militants. Now, I have a few questions. Actually, I have a lot of questions. The Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Umar Muri, great man. On Monday, he said, just yesterday, by the way, guys, hear me out. He said, first of all, summarily, he said the command under him would not work with vigilantes who were repentant criminals in a bid to rid the state of bandits and other elements. Now, here's the interesting part. I'll quote him. He said, the only sets of vigilantes to work with are those with the fear of God. What in the world does that mean? How do you... Okay. Go ahead.
So this is the funniest story I had to analyze in my 20 years of experience. I've never been like it. Never. So we keep calling them.
Sorry, do you fear God? Because I do.
I do.
I would say it's
Or I believe I do.
5 times in the morning and
if,
multiple times all the time.
if someone is repentant, it means that there is a fear of
somehow.
of some.
So he made this statement for context while on a confidence building visit to the palace of the Emir's house in Zaria, Kaduna State. There were other security operatives in the gate. This was when the General Staff Commander, Bishop of Nigerian Army, and others came to visit as well. So, this is what he said. This is commercial. The repentant criminals were always in the habit of giving out information to criminal elements. This is not me. This is the commissioner. Yes.
So let's put in context. Repentant criminals are those who have
keep calling them repentant.
Yes, who have been exonerated.
No.
Allegedly, I mean, who have been taken back into the community.
Yeah, they've been reabsorbed. They were criminals, they were bandits.
And these are the ones still giving information.
Their name is still, don't forget the irony. Yes, they are still referred to as repentant criminals.
Mm-hmm.
So they are repentant, but they don't have the fear of God.
And they give out information.
They give out information, meaning that they still give them information. This now coincides with something I read over the weekend, a different news, but let me not mention the name of the paper since we're not analyzing that. That the government of Zamfara State gave Hilux vehicles to bandits, no, to repentant bandits. And some days later, bandits, that's the non-repentant ones, attacked the people and killed using those same
vehicles. Yes.
So, the question, are we a joke to these people? I don't understand it. This is...
You know, now you have to define we. So when you say, are we a joke? Who are you referring to? There's so many classes now. Hold on. There's us,
yes,
the people, right? There's us in freshly pressed. Okay.
Yes.
There's the governors. There's those in government. You know, there's a difference.
Yes.
Presidency, president.
Yes.
There's repentant,
yes,
who have fear of God. There's there are those who do not, clearly. So who's the we? I mean, just
let me only speak for those of us on first.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anybody anymore.
Okay.
This is a joke.
Shall we move on? Yes, I understand the pain here. Emmanuel from Papa says, please make a lot of money from conjecture. I guess that's what you mean. Because a part of me, seriously speaking, at some point, I asked myself, okay, saying this, a confidence-building visit to the palace of the Emir, could it be that the commissioner was a bit nervous, hence the use of the word? Could it be?
The commissioner.
No, never mind.
But give him the benefit of the doubt that he knows
What he's talking about.
Dorothy says, I think we need to get a fear of God meter for repentant criminals to ensure to get the best ones into our security infrastructure. God have mercy on Nigeria. Good morning, Val, and especially first time. Thank you. Lufemi says the problem of trucks in Apapa is not failure of the government, it's a racket. They deliberately allowed the trucks to remain there as a part of a legal business. Clearing the trucks for one day that Buhari visited was like just like business closing for public holiday.
that's still failure.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. I've seen. So
all right. This next one. Okay, thank you for that. Samuel from Lekki says, where in the world do they reintegrate criminals into crime fighting? Where in the world do they free killers and destroyers and even bring them to armed forces every part of the world? It just depends on the ideology behind it. Someone
everywhere
into secret service as well.
Yeah.
Inka Bolu says there are two ways to solving the Apapa issue. One, sack everyone at the port and employ new management, and with mandate not to allow that current madness ever again. The watch NLC, they watch NLC go up in arms, so we negotiate and fish out their collaborators so that the truck menace would stop. Okay, I lost the part of the message, but this one says, Val, we the God-fearing people of Nigeria, Lagos chapter, and the state secretary, the processes to knowing our true members. Val, you want to join? Thanks for that hilarious moment. Now let's move on to this next story. gentlemen. This time around, what a Senate probes NSITF as Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund over an alleged diversion and financial mismanagement of 61.1 billion naira by its management. They've invited officials of the agency to appear before it today, June 15, to explain what they know about the alleged diversion of money. And there are some other allegations alongside.
Val, I'm not going to take too much time on this. Why? Because 2 weeks ago we actually dealt extensively with the reports that came out from the probe of NSITF. So I guess they're just trying to do their updates and find out.
Thank you so much for that. So we look forward to getting the outcome of that meeting. One of the other allegations really is, according to the Auditor General's query, the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund was accused of diverting a sum of 5.5 billion naira from its account with the Zenith Bank, while in another query, the agency allegedly paid 38.2 billion naira as personal costs from 2012 to 2017, which is not approved by National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission. And the query further alleged that 17.1 billion naira was transferred to some persons and companies from these accounts. And I guess it violates the TSA regulations, the Treasury Single Account remittance. Now, let's get to this next one, Oji. Nigerian Army urges Boko Haram terrorists to surrender. And so
Depends.
exactly. Yeah, your head is there. So I was thinking, in fact, when we were analyzing the repentance criminal story, my mind went to empathy, but I just brushed aside. I said, no, this does not apply. But here's where it applies. Would you, as a means of conjecture, would you say the Nigerian army is empathetic to militants or insurgents by saying this? Because here's the statement they made. They said, the General Commanding Officer, GOC 7 Division, Nigerian Army Brigadier General A.A. Itayo, said that nobody, including the military, was happy over the bloodshed. Hence, the need for the remnants of the insurgents to leverage on the amnesty and repent. We are nefarious ways. Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so you can't condemn this, honestly, because as a matter of fact, nobody wants to kill. Yeah, there are those of them that we know, we know that intelligence suggests are from outside of the country, but I still want to believe that the bulk of those terrorists are still Nigerians. And whatever it is that caused this, they've gone into the battlefield, but they are still Nigerians. That's the long and short of it. And then if there is a possibility to avoid bloodshed, it's always, at every point in time, always the best option. And that's where the famed carrot and stick approach comes in, because at every point in the military, Nigeria must not lose a war like this to non-state actors. So you say, I have the forces, I can crush you. And you indeed show them you can crush them, not by hiding or running away. Fighting them, it's showing your might. That's the word, federal might. And then after a while, you come back to them and say, look, I have the power to crush you, seen it. So I give you the opportunity to come back, to repent. Surrender your arms. And so I completely agree with everything you say here. The only thing I will say again is, I only hope that this same opportunity is also given to other agitators in other parts
of the country, because that's a sore point to touch on. And something else you said, and you mentioned it, I flinched a bit when you said they are mostly Nigerians.
No, I believe they're still Nigerians.
They are, but the president even said, I remember in his speech, that most of the actors or insurgents are from neighboring countries. He mentioned Nigeria, probably mentioned some other places, so are they mostly Nigerians?
I know some of them. I don't know, but it would be difficult for me to believe that the majority of people who are carrying out these things
are outsiders.
Thank you for that. Nigeria loses over 100 billion naira yearly to tax-related corruption. News or not?
Not great news.
Are you surprised?
Not really. I just think the tax systems should be more efficient, and the tax authorities should actually carry out their duties the way it's meant to be. But there's corruption in tax all over the world.
Here's a bigger question: who evades tax the most?
In
your opinion?
The rich.
The rich.
Sorry, say that again.
The rich.
But the richer ones.
Well, is it evasion or
avoidance?
More like avoidance.
Okay.
But they will tell you that they contribute a lot of all that money into corporate social responsibility.
But it's a capitalist tax.
Well, it goes back into society, which is what tax is meant to be used for.
Well, it's not tax. It's not a car. It's not a car. I was hoping you have bean balls this morning as breakfast, though. But still with us, thank you so much for your contributions and thanks for the messages. A special thanks to our analyst, Oji Oka. Thank you for stepping in this morning. Wade Ahime, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wade Ahime _ Oji at Oji Oka. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Join us next in 50 minutes for Grapevine 91. I'm Valentine.
Quick access to loans from Financial.
Today's show was always very interesting.
Thank you.